lot of people, mostly friends and coworkers, that come to me and say, hey, can you build my computer? How do you build a computer? So today what I really want to talk about is the basics of a computer. A lot of people know what a computer does, and we all have them. They're in our phones, and they're in just about every little electronic device that's on this planet right now. But what makes one up? What makes up a computer, and what does what? So today I'm going into the essentials of a PC, and this is part one, and I'm going to do a part two where I'm going to go into in-depth with those components. Anyway, I want to explain exactly what makes up a computer, and I'm going to compare it to us, the human body. Because if you think about it, computers kind of mimic the human body anyway, before it was really understood. And what I mean by that is, a computer has a brain, it has a central nervous system, it has a skeletal system, it even has food. What do I mean by those, and what parts are food and what part is the brain? And well, I'm going to that. And the first part I want to talk about is one of the most important parts. No, it is not the CPU, but the motherboard. And one of the most important parts is going to have your inputs and outputs. So the first part I'm going to talk about is the motherboard. So the motherboard is actually like the logic board of your computer. So I'm going to compare that to your nervous system. So your motherboard is going to connect all your pieces, well, all your components, and whether they're cabled or not cabled. And what I mean by that is your CPU, your RAM, and maybe something you tie into the computer with a cable, like a printer, your mouse, your keyboard, things like that, are all really connected to your motherboard. So motherboard, nervous system. Next thing I'm going to talk about is the CPU, which everybody probably knows what it is. It's called the Central Processing Unit, and that is what a lot of people really focus on when they go to build a computer. So the CPU is the one that makes the decisions and then does all the logical, complicated algorithms, and it kind of puts them into memory to get done. Now, the more cores that you have in the CPU, such as dual core, quad core, nowadays they have 6 and they have 12 and 10 and whatnot, the faster it can complete those tasks. So basically, the CPU is your brain. It's like the brain of a human body. It's what's going to process everything. What's next after a CPU? Well, that would be, in my opinion, your RAM. Now, everybody knows about RAM. When you go to like a store and you want to build your own computer, usually the guy goes, hey, if you get more RAM, or if you upgrade your RAM, it'll make your computer faster, right? Well, yes, it does. Now, the reason why it makes it faster is because RAM is a type of memory called Random Access Memory, RAM, and your CPU kind of uses RAM to perform tasks or basically pull open an application and take that memory to use the application to make it run a little faster or to process things a little faster. Like if you're editing a video or playing games, it's going to take that RAM and kind of access it, if that makes any sense. It's literally memory that's accessed. For an example, I would say it's when we go to remember something. Let's say we're taking a test and we need to remember that certain thing, and our brain goes to that memory to access it. Same thing with RAM. CPU goes to the accessed memory, random access memory, and it can use that to, use with applications and other things. The more RAM, then the more programs you can run at the same time with no cap. So just imagine having a cap in your memory when you're trying to remember something and you just can't remember because that was the limit. So that's kind of the point of RAM. We need to grab those memories or grab that information so that way we could run all this stuff at the same time. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is your power supply. Now, in my opinion, not a lot of people really take power supplies seriously because they just see it, oh, okay, it's just a huge box that provides power to your components, which, I mean, that is what it is. So the power supply is literally a box that takes AC from our home and converts it into DC for our components in our computer. The power supply, to me, I would say is like food. We eat food to get energy, and the better the food that we eat, the better energy we have. Same with the power supply. The better power supply you have, the more it will provide for your components. So power supplies are very important. Your components need power to run, basically. A lot of people, when it comes to power supplies, they kind of overdo it, in my opinion. It's important, but usually people that buy like 1,000-watt power supplies just starting out, you really don't need it. I would say that the thing that uses a lot of power nowadays is probably your GPU, depending on what kind of GPU you have. But we're gonna go into that in a different episode. So those are the main 4 things that I'm gonna talk about in this video when it comes to PC components. I'm gonna do a part 2 to this video. I'm gonna go talk about the other PC components that are very important. And then after that, I'm going to go step by step into how to install them, what not to do, and the correct way of doing it is. So guys, if you like this video, hit me a like. If you love it, consider subscribing. Do not forget to hit that bell icon so that way you receive notifications every time I upload a video. And I will see you in part 2 of PC Essentials. Thanks guys. Peace out.